Alright guys, so tonight I had my first go at the ICO reduction in Squad. They've basically retuned the ADS times to make them faster, and apparently there's been some recoil changes that aren't particularly noticeable to me, but the one big thing that I definitely did notice was the ADS times when I first loaded in. They were a lot faster.
Alright, I got all my settings fixed.
He threw a grenade, he threw a grenade! There's also supposedly been some performance improvements from an upgrade to Unreal Engine 5.7, and I'll be honest, I'm very skeptical about Unreal Engine updates because in my previous testing video I tested the difference between 5.3 and 5.5, and I personally didn't see that much of a difference, despite how I saw a lot of people, and I've seen a lot of videos online saying, you know, if you upgrade, I think it was 5.3 to 5.4 to 5.5, things like that, people were saying that the improvement was massive. And so I'm always really very skeptical about these things because at the end of the day, the update is sort of being advertised by the creators of Unreal Engine Epic, right? They want people to update to the latest version, so they're going to say, you know, there's all these improvements and it's in their best interest to sell the updates, of course. But when I tested 5.3 to 5.5, the performance was basically identical in Squad. And you can see that if you go back to my testing Squad UE5 performance video, you can see in that one that the performance is very similar. But with that said, on that old video, I did 2 uploads of it. There was an original upload that I did, and I had one of the developers comment on it to say that part of the video wasn't quite accurate, and that the 5.3 to 5.5 update was more meant to improve performance for lower end PCs, and that with the way modern GPUs work, the performance improvements wouldn't be that noticeable on my 5070 Ti. So I took his word for it. He definitely is going to know a hell of a lot more about it than I do. Even the comment I was like, didn't really understand the detail of it. So I took his word for it. I took the video down, took the bit out that was not quite accurate, and re-uploaded it. And with that said, it made me a lot more interested in seeing this 5.7 update. So in trying it, I think the thing to remember with these updates is that these engine updates give the developers tools to make the game work better. I don't think that the update itself is going to make the game run better. Like, you don't just copy and paste the game in and it just runs better. I think it's obviously going to give them the tools to make it run more efficiently. So I kept that in mind in trying the 5.7 update, and yeah, I think again what I noticed was that the performance itself was very similar to 5.5. Now, you could be fooled though, I think, with this update, because one thing I've noticed is that the graphics look worse, and that is most noticeable in this global illumination setting here. If you set this global illumination setting to low, it's definitely, when you put it on low, it's definitely going lower than what it was in Squad 10.3 or Unreal Engine 5.5. So I think that this update could definitely fool someone into thinking that the performance has improved if they are playing on lower settings. But when you put the global illumination setting to what looks similar to 10.3, that being a medium setting, I think that the illusion of performance improvement falls apart a little bit. And in my opinion, the performance improvement, even on the absolute lowest, isn't enough of an improvement to say that it's really improved. Because once you add that global illumination setting on, it ends up being about the same again. So I really still think, like I said in the previous testing Squad UE5 performance video, I think it's going to be they're going to have to make the game look worse, or it's going to be some time before the performance improves. I don't think, not to disappoint people too much, but I just don't think that one update is going to be the one that gives us UE4 levels of performance back. And in fact, I don't know if we'll ever get that, but I would love to be surprised, because it would be nice to get that performance back. So I was getting like 240 FPS before, but yeah, I don't know. I don't think we'll see it, but hopefully. Alright, so with that spiel over about performance, maybe we should talk a little bit about the ADS times. And I think that the ADS time, the speeding up of the ADS time is fucking brilliant. I think it's amazing. I think it's great. The reason I think it's so good is because I've actually got a video here that maybe might convince, if you don't agree with me, this might convince you a little bit more to why I think this is so good. But in 10.3 squad, the ADS times being so long sort of trains you to play the game in a weird way to take advantage of these ADS times. Like people are always it doesn't matter what you do with these ADS times and things, people are, even I don't even think about it, but naturally I just do this thing where I quickly tap ADS on off to get the gun out of my face and time when the aiming's going to land. It doesn't prevent, I don't think it does what you sort of think it does when you first look at it, because obviously it's like the obvious thing to do to slow combat down is you slow down the combat, right? But I think with the way we play video games, I don't think, especially shooting games, I don't think it works. I think there's these other coping mechanisms we do in the way we play them that I don't think it has the effect that we tell ourselves it does. And you can see that in this clip here. And I'm getting kill after kill after kill, and it's all because of positioning, right? This is the same as it was pre-ICO. It's because I'm in a good position and I'm hitting the shots, right? I don't think the ICO is preventing or making anything easier. It's not doing anything, really. I think all it does is just make things more cumbersome and annoying. And like, if you're LARPing and role-playing, and when you first play the game, you might think that this slow ADS time is making a massive difference. But I think once you play the game and you keep playing the game and you get more and more used to it, I just don't think it does what it's trying to do. And I think having a faster ADS time and then doing these ICO objectives in other ways would be a better idea to me. I think it's possible to make combat do what the ICO wants without having combat feel the way it does with ICO. Not that I know how to do that, but I think I do think it's possible. Like with sway and like recoil and stuff, I think it's better to do it that way than it is to remove control. I don't think having these slow ADS times makes things very fun. Now, with a bolt action sniper, you might be able to do very slow ADS times, but with the majority of guns that we're using, I don't think it works very well. And then in regards to recoil, I think it feels like there's less horizontal recoil, but when I am firing automatic fire, it feels like the vertical recoil is going not very strong at first, and then it goes really strong, and then it goes not very strong. It's like, I think it's random as well, so I think it's almost impossible to control it. Because back in the day, you could just fucking pull that mouse down and you would be able to fucking automatic spray out 150 meters, and it would look the most beautiful fucking PUBG-like spray. But yeah, I guess they just don't want that to really happen, and I don't blame them, to be honest. It's fucking shit. So yeah, it is what it is. I don't really care that much about recoil. My biggest problem is with I much prefer the ADS now, and that's just my take.